On this Monday to Morning Invest. It is October 4th, the first full week of October. I'm Clayton Morris. We're in the Zelda
And I'm
shirt.
David Foster.
That's right. We're in the Zelda shirt down there. It's my producer, David, who went a little camping this weekend. We'll get to that in a moment. But hey, we got a jam-packed show for you. A lot going on this week. You know, the Supreme Court is back this week. By the way, Brett Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh, has COVID. I don't know if you saw that. So even the Supreme Court, even those black cloaks the Supreme Court wears can't keep COVID away.
Wow. Guess they're not as supreme as they thought they were.
I guess not. Yeah. So they're back this weekend. They're going to be talking gun rights, abortion. There's a whole bunch of stuff they're going to tackle this week. Anyway, that's just that's coming up this week in Washington. But we're like a few days away now from this debt limit crisis, and President Biden is going to speak today at 11 a.m. on the debt limit. You know it's bad when the president has to come out and give a speech on the debt limit crisis. Remember, these are all the bills that we had already agreed to under Trump, and now they just won't pay for them. So we'll have that update for you on the debt limit this morning. We're also going to talk about the stimulus. There are troubling signs this weekend that Democrats are looking to slash the stimulus basically in half. At the same time, doubling the money going to the military-industrial complex. We'll show you the new numbers on the military. It's, oh God, you're gonna you won't be happy about it, my friend. You will not be happy about it.
Just when you wake up and you hear the birds chirping outside, you get out of bed. You know, I walk up here and I'm thinking, you know, this weekend I think they probably had a change of heart. The government's actually going to turn around and be for the people again. You know. For the people, by the people.
Not going to happen.
And then here you come with your uncomfortable news.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You're going to get uncomfortable today on the show. We got a lot of uncomfortable stuff to talk about today on the show. We're also going to be looking at not only that, how the rich have been hiding their money. No, it should say how the rich hide their money, but it should be updated. I don't know why it didn't get updated. Anyway, there's an explosive leak called the Pandora Papers this morning. We're going to go through what this Pandora Papers means for all of these rich people around the world. This leak shows just where all these billionaires are hiding their money, avoiding taxes. This has been rubbing a lot of these billionaires and rich people the wrong way since this story broke. The Washington Post got access to this. Pretty amazing. And have you been following this Aussie media story, or Aussie? I don't know. How do you even say it? This story is crazy, isn't it? We're going to talk about it coming up on the show. But man, I'm endlessly fascinated by this story. You know, it's one of those stories where you get these billionaire Wall Street companies that think that they can come in and kind of like do what we're doing right here on this show. Just throw a lot of money at it, and that's going to lead to success. And try to build up a media company with like fake video views and all kinds of garbage. It's like that Fire Festival.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yep.
Or what was that other... What was that other Quibi? Remember that stupid thing where it was like the
video?
The video company where all these like Hollywood elites got together and they're going to make like a 10-minute media company or something like that.
I remember Philip DeFranco doing a video to promote that thing. And then it just
collapsed,
disappeared.
Yeah. Unbelievable. There's so much going on, man.
Did you say that the stories aren't updating in the rundown?
Let me just re-click the thing because I did update it.
Just hit reload.
Reload. Yeah. See if this works here. It should say how the rich hide money.
Let me go to that really quick.
I don't know why it didn't update. Did make the change, but it didn't. I don't know what happened there.
Okay. It should update now.
Let's see if I reload here, if that works now. Did everyone have a good weekend?
I did.
Archie Lamar says they do pay their taxes. will you stop lying? Spelled wrong, but and there is spelled wrong, Archie. But
Yeah.
No, they don't.
The companies, the individuals.
And why?
That's where people get confused.
Archie, why are you defending these people, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about that. It's interesting.
So I think that is a big misconception, though, about that is that the individuals are paying taxes, the corporations aren't. That's the difference. The individual person, Bezos, individually pays, not as much as us.
No, because they can claim their salary is like
Right.
$220,000 a year, and they can pay taxes on that salary, right?
Right.
But the billions that the company rakes in, they pay nothing,
Right.
right? And even when they're supposed to, they are hiding this money and pushing it offshore and all sorts of things. So we're going to look at this Pandora's box of hidden wealth. Rhonda says, Archie's in a cloud. That's all right.
I always
Hey,
feel
Archie,
like it's...
we'll welcome you. I mean, I'm just saying.
Do you remember like Monty Python and stuff? She's a witch.
She's a witch. Burn
She's a witch.
her. Burn
Like everybody
her.
just like if something said, it's like they completely get on the like defensive of defending these people that have done nothing good for them. Mm-hmm. And it's like if something changes, then it's like, oh no, he's okay. He did this. He said this.
Yeah. He needs to read the leaked documents, by the way. Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, it's just... have you seen... how's Grover doing, Chris's top-level media? Grover's doing well. He got out today. So we have a front gate, and it has, like, holes in it. So it's like a big kind of wrought iron... it's like a wrought iron kind of gate. And the bottom, like, he could just slip right through like a little sausage, And so somehow, I don't know, a truck or something had like punctured our little fence. We put up like a little fence at the bottom of the fence. So it was like the little mini, like I don't know how to describe it. We put up like a fence on a fence, like chicken, almost like a chicken wire thing. It doesn't look like crap, but it keeps Grover from diving through the openings. And some truck or something must have like punctured it because there were like pieces of our little fence and there was an opening, like a perfect little opening. And I'm sitting up there this morning on the balcony just looking, and I look and I see him just running down the street. I'm like, what the? So Miles and I ran out and got a new piece of it and had to use the little twisty ties or the zip ties and put the whole new thing up there. And
how would a truck have done it? Just backed in like...
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Did it look like another animal could have done it?
I don't know. It looked like there were pieces kind of broken off of it. So it's almost like someone like had shoved like a 2x4 backwards and it was like, oops, shoot. And it went right through the hole. I don't know. I don't know what happened, But it's plastic, so who knows? It might have broken and,
Yeah.
Who knows? Did you take pizza camping with you? Now, pizza, by the way, is David's little chihuahua, not a slice of pizza.
Yeah, I took a whole big thing of pizza with me. No, I did not take her this time because the property that I was on, this guy has lost 3 little dogs on that property, 2 to coyotes and 1 to an eagle. So ooh. I'm not really prepared to do that yet, like take her, because I don't have a lead or anything that I can keep her on. And I was going to be setting up a tent for the first time and doing all this stuff for the first time. And I didn't want to be focused on that and then also have to be worrying about her in the back of my head. So I just thought it'd be less stressful for both of us if I didn't take her this time.
Yeah. You know what you need to do for chihuahuas, like what I've heard against eagles, is just to tie weights to the chihuahua's legs, like really heavy weights. So that way when the eagle comes down and tries to swoop away with the chihuahua, it'll just be too heavy and they'll just leave it.
And I'm actually getting her what's called a coyote vest.
Is there such a thing? You're kidding?
Yeah, so it has like spikes on it. It's a little vest that has spikes. so the coyotes leave it around. And I think that would probably work on eagles too, because if they get poked when they come down, they're not gonna do anything.
Oh, that's funny. Chris says, yeah, I see David's live streams. Been learning a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Someone just asked me, how's my crypto farm coming along? I posted over on my Clayton Morris channel, starting the process. My first Bitcoin mine is almost arrived. It's almost here. Clearing customs. It's kind of a pain. but it's almost here. So we're going to be setting up the crypto mining operation with the solar panels and all of that good stuff. Is that the coyote vest?
This is the coyote vest.
Wow. That's amazing.
So,
Man, like a brawler.
Shield your pet from raptor and animal attacks. Snap buckles for fast. So I just put that on her and boom, she's good to go.
Man, that's amazing. From raptor attacks.
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones, like send her into battle. Like Lord of the Rings against the orcs.
Yeah, it's a real thing around here, you know, like those eagles, like a hawk. Hawks aren't big enough in this area, but the eagles, I mean, they're huge. She's just perfect size. I mean, she's rabbit size, you know? Yeah.
Michael Sissel says, Clay, do you have any lasting effects from COVID? No, I mean, the only lasting effect so far, I still have to clear my throat a little bit more than I'd like. Also, I cannot smell really well. So I'm still at like 50% taste and smell. So, yeah, that bothers the heck out of me, you know?
So you're saying you stink now?
I'm saying I stink. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm 50% smelly. Can't really smell me, but yeah, it's no bueno. But man, have you seen Alaska? Have you seen looking at the data this morning? I sent you that story yesterday, but
yeah.
Alaska is like #1 in the country right now for COVID hotspots. They can't keep up with the demand for beds and kidney dialysis machines and ventilators, and Alaska is a crap show right now. Hawaii's not that far behind. I don't know what it is with the 49th and 50 states. Chris Moore
says, I'm in Alaska.
Chris, is it bad there? Let us know. Reading the reports on that, saying they're having to choose right now between, like, doctors are having to make a choice. Like, if you come into the hospital and there's a chance that you might be better off, let's say 2 people come into the hospital. They're basically having to grade you right now. Like, you come into the hospital and 2 people come in and you both have COVID. The doctors are basically having to decide who's going to get the treatment and who basically dies. That's basically what's happening. It's pretty bad. James says Massachusetts, it's bad too. Yeah. All right.
So I just put chat in members only mode, you guys. So if you want to become a member and chat, all you got to do is go to morninginvest.com/join for as little as $1.99 per month. So that's like less than 1 coffee per month. You can get access to chat and behind the scenes videos and stuff like that. And I'm going to be doing another members only live stream soon. So get over there and join. And then Clayton, tell them about the newsletter.
Yes, we've got our daily morning newsletter published this morning around 6:30 Eastern time. And we cover about 5 or 6 big stories that'll be delivered right to your inbox first thing in the morning. So over your cup of coffee, you can sit back and be more informed, and it takes you about 5-10 minutes to read it. You put a lot of hard work into it. So check it out. Go to morninginvest.com. Be sure to subscribe. We also have a way, we're going to be giving away a lot more free stuff by when you refer people to the newsletter. Not only can you get a Grover mug, we're going to be doing some things with different sweatshirts for free. When you refer a certain number of people, it's going to be, to your friends who sign up, and you have your own referral link. So we'll be giving away some Morning Invest merch. The way to go and do that is just to sign up for morninginvest.com. And at the end of each email, you'll have your own unique referral link that you can share and send out to friends. And it's all tracked, so you can log into your dashboard and see how many friends have signed up.
And also, it's perfect for if you're somebody like me who, takes a little bit of extra time on the throne in the morning. It's the perfect thing to sit there and read while you're doing that.
Perfect companion, news companion for your time in the bathroom.
Yep. And there's no FUD in it. It's not FUD fodder. It's actual news.
It's actual news. Yeah. No FUD in there. So Chris Moore, I asked him about Alaska. Chris says, I live at the end of the road in a small mountain town of 3,000 people, and our hospital is completely full. Sorry to hear that, Chris. That's awful, awful. Grim says it's because the populations in Alaska are so concentrated. And I would say I don't believe that that's the case at all. Well, maybe you're right, Grim. But there was a story this weekend about how the populations in the rural populations, people who live outside of the cities, they're seeing a 2-to-1 case number among COVID right now. They tend to be non-vaccinated. They are, so the data shows that they are more overweight, just generally less healthy, and they're less vaccinated in the rural populations. If you're in a city center, you're more likely to be vaccinated. You're more likely to walk a lot more, therefore healthier. You're not driving a car all over the place, and you're eating healthier. That was the data. So in Alaska, I'd be curious to see what that is, but overall, they're just, vaccinations have pretty much dried up since like April and May. People are just like, I'm done. And now they're seeing this huge case numbers in hospitals there. And the kidney dialysis story was the hard one. Like, they only had one kidney dialysis machine at this hospital that they could use. And this 2 people come in with COVID, and they had to pick, like, who's more likely to survive if we give them kidney dialysis. And they gave it to the one person, and while the other person was waiting, that person died. Like, this is America. And this Wall Street Journal piece just makes the point, like, these doctors are saying, it's unbelievable to me that we're in the greatest country in the world and they're having to ration care. Like, what? How is this even happening? Why are they rationing care? Why is this happening anywhere? If we're spending $760 billion a year on a defense budget, to me, wouldn't this be like the biggest defense against our citizenry? Like the biggest protection that we would need right now? National Guard, like get the help that Alaska needs. Am I wrong about that? We're spending this much money and we can't take care of our own people, but we can certainly prop up Israel and Afghanistan, right? Sure, if they needed a kidney dialysis machine in Afghanistan, it'd be there in a heartbeat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, how long did it take them to get Israel all that money for the Golden Dome or whatever it is?
Yeah, the Iron Dome.
The Iron Dome.
Oh,
like it went in and out, signed.
Yeah, done. Anyway, that's my little Alaska rant. I'm stuck on that story. I can't get over it. It's like, how is this one state in the United States just can't get access to this stuff, and these people are just dying?
I think it's because they're so close to Russia.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to blame Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame Sarah Palin. It's just my... Yeah, blame it. All right, it's showtime. Hey, it's Monday, October 4th. Coming up on today's show, Democrats are about to slash the stimulus plan in half, it looks like. That means less money for you, less money for climate change. At the same time, the budget for the war is set to double. Oh, it's about to rain money all over defense contractors right now. You thought this war in Afghanistan was, ending, so therefore we wouldn't pay any more money? Guess what? You're wrong. And revealed, they're being called the Pandora Papers. A massive data leak shows just how rich people hide their money all around the world, paying no taxes, billions and loopholes that they're able to hide. We'll talk about that. And Aussie Media, a story that I just can't get enough of. I'm just fascinated by this story. It's officially done. Aussie Media is officially closed down after basically, in my opinion, defrauding investors of millions of dollars. Well, look at what happened amidst all of these lies and fake view counts on YouTube, etc. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to talk about that story. It's time to get uncomfortable. You ready to get uncomfortable? It's the only way you grow. Morning Invest starts right now. Hey, now, welcome into Morning Invest. I'm Clayton Morris. David Foster is in the old control booth, manning the show.
Good morning.
I think you got a beard. Did you get a beard trim?
I did. I had to. It was like, I was looking at my videos and it was all like popping out of the side. So I went in and had my barber trim me up really nice.
You have a barber? Like you have a specific barber that does...
I do. She's my friend. I'm actually going camping with her. She's really cool.
Wow. A camping barber friend that you can bring on your boat. That's fantastic. That's like that Seinfeld episode where he dates the masseuse, but she never wants to give him a massage, and he keeps trying to randomly put her. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just real stressed. Can you just...
I'm taking my masseuse out for her birthday tomorrow.
See, you've made friends with the right people. I need to have a masseuse friend.
See, what I'm thinking of is like when everything goes to hell and then the economy collapses, I'll at least have a barber and a masseuse. And they both know how to camp. So
Right. Yeah, as long as you can take care of them, you can provide fish and sustenance and other things like that. Be like, "Yeah, I think I pulled something when I was fishing earlier for your meal." Oh yeah,
I got
can you
my
get
beard
right in
snagged
there?
on something down there too. I need that trimmed up. And
Can you help me with my beard and my shoulders giving me some pain? Oh boy, we've got a jam-packed show for you. So let's not waste any time this morning, shall we? Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. This is not corporate media. We are not run by any billionaires, by the way. We are independently run, independently verified. So if you support us, you support independent journalism. So let's talk about the debt limit, shall we? The debt limit is about 14 days away, so October 18th. We are facing the debt crisis. President Biden is going to hold a speech today at 11 a.m. to talk about the dire crisis that is the debt limit. Just to put this in context, again, these are commitments that the United States government, A, Donald Trump, B, Mitch McConnell, okay, C, Kevin McCarthy, all made as part of their government. They made commitments to borrow money from people and pay it back. Well, now they've decided that they don't want to pay it back, and they're just going to let the Democrats try to figure out how they're going to do this. Mitch McConnell says we're not going to be a part of this, raising debt limit, even though they are the ones that ran up the bills. So the hypocrisy is, it's a full plate of hypocrisy right now. Now, both parties do this, right? I'm just saying, but right now, this is the story. Right now, is that all of these bills were written by Republicans, and now they don't want to pay for them. By the way, the size and scope of government under President Trump exploded to extraordinary levels under President Trump, and now they don't want to pay for it. So October 18th, the United States government will hit that debt limit, meaning the Treasury Department won't be able to borrow more money to finance government operations. Right now, the issue is caught up in a partisan showdown that shows no signs of a resolution at this hour. So Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and his fellow Senate Republicans have been filibustering Democratic attempts to raise the debt limit by a simple majority vote. They keep getting in there and filibustering, and they say that Democrats need to boost the debt limit on their own as they try to put together this multi-trillion-dollar reconciliation package full of all sorts of new social spending programs for Democrats. Well, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats say that this is a hypocritical stance, pointing out that Republicans were the ones that incurred these debts, and they should allow the debt limit to be raised in a normal way, as they normally do. Now, I'm not talking about the government. Look, the government, yes, has a spending problem, so we need to fix that. But right now, with this crucial deadline, this is like the full faith and credit of the United States government on the line here. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say they drained the swamp, Clayton. So
That's right. Trump drained the swamp.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
So it's not their problem, not their fault.
It's total garbage. President Trump played the populist hand, right? I'm a populist. I'm going to Washington to drain the swamp, and I'm going to help you, the little guy that makes air conditioning units out there in Indiana. I'm going to help you so your job doesn't go to China, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Didn't happen. What he ended up doing, in fact, was helping the rich, the wealthy, and wealthy tax cuts. So they want to play lip service to this populist garbage all the time, and then they end up only favoring the wealthy. So far, neither side is backing down right now. Democrats, Republicans are not backing down, and right now, Wall Street's getting a little nervous. And looking at the numbers this morning, stock futures this morning down overall. Pretty nervous, Wall Street is, about what this face-off could mean for the U.S. world economy and the world economy. If the United States start to falter, ooh boy, look out. We're going to hear more on this today from Chuck Schumer. He's going to be speaking about it, so is President Biden. Now, here's the real critical question. How long is all of this going to take? See, Senate insiders say that it could be completed in as little as 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks is really maybe right around the debt limit deadline or beyond. Now, over the weekend, we got word from some really good reporting, that from the Punch Bowl team, that in fact, the Senate parliamentarian, remember the old Senate parliamentarian who wouldn't allow them to increase the minimum wage as part of any kind of reconciliation package, apparently got together with Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and basically said, hey, look, You can separately, perhaps, pass a non, like what you could basically pass it on your own, a debt limit increase without worrying about Republicans, we think. So that's kind of where we're at. We're not really sure. Is the Senate parliamentarians signing off on this? Are they going to allow this to unfold? We don't know. Anyway, President Biden going to be speaking at 11 a.m. today on this whole issue, on this crisis. You know, Janet Yellen has been spending the weekend pushing her Republican and Democratic colleagues to get this done. Folks, I don't, want to be alarmist, but this is a big freaking deal. Well, this is a huge deal.
We go through this we've been going through this all the time. So it's like they're going to end up passing it, but what they got to do is they all got to get their little earmarks in there first, and then they'll pass it. Yeah. So now they're just going to be scattering to get the, Asian carp stuff in there, like all that stuff. They're just going to get that all in there, and then because they don't want it to pass by itself, they're not going to do an individual bill that doesn't benefit anybody.
Well, or they pass it specifically, as a clean standalone bill, and then they horse trade so that they get things in this reconciliation package. I'll vote for this if I, in the reconciliation package, could get my fossil fuel industry stipend, Joe Manchin style.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at right now on this side is where will the Senate parliamentarian come down? Will they both continue to dig in their heels? Will any Republicans flip and come to the aid of getting this thing passed with a simple majority? I don't know.
It all boils down to, they at the end of the day, they don't care about what it costs us. They don't care how we're going to pay for it. They don't care about any of that stuff because they never questioned about the stuff that just flies right through, like the military budget and stuff like that. Like the stuff that, they never argue. The Iron Dome in Israel. Israel is one of the richest countries also in the world, and we give them money. So at the end of the day, it's all about what deals are going to be for their donors and themselves. If they can pad their pockets and pad their donors' pockets, then they'll pass it. They don't care about what it costs at that point.
Yeah, we have some really troubling news this morning on the corporate media side, just how much money is being funneled to these different businesses. And we're going to hear from David Sirota this morning, who's a great journalist, and says, it's not a battle between progressives and moderates in the party. It's simply a battle between those who want to change this country and corporate interests. That's it. It's what it comes down to. So we'll have more on that front on the debt limit. We're going to talk about the stimulus in just a moment, and some troubling data that seems to be coming out seems to be suggesting that we're about to see this stimulus cut in half. So we'll talk about that in a moment, the stimulus update here, and more on that. Let's talk, though, first about our friends. We've got a new sponsor on the show, and holidays are coming up, my friends. And the holidays can be absolutely crazy. Did you hear about the trouble with the mail right now? Like, the holidays are coming up, and if you're selling anything online, you better start preparing right now for the busiest time of the year because things might be slowing down. And that's why you need to use ShipStation. So ShipStation is easy for you to ship your orders and without all of the frustration and confusion that you would normally have trying to get stuff out to people. It's, you can easily import orders from any sales channel. So, if you run like a Shopify store or you have an Etsy store, or if you just need to ship things to friends and family, if it's just growing your business, managing inventory, juggling orders, you've got a lot going on this holiday season. Making shipping easy as part of your day is the right way to go with ShipStation. Over 100,000 sellers use ShipStation in their business. It easily integrates with all selling channels into one simple dashboard so you can seamlessly connect carriers, print shipping labels, get products out the door fast. You see DHL, eBay, Etsy, Google, Wix, Squarespace, FedEx, Walmart, Amazon Store. It doesn't matter. U.S. Postal Service, all of it right there. So it's never too early to start prepping for the holiday rush and get a head start with ShipStation. My listeners can use my offer code INVEST. You get a 60-day free trial just in time for the holidays. 60 days free to try it. That's 2 months of stress-free holiday shipping for free. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top, and enter the code INVEST. That's ShipStation. Make ship happen. I love their tagline. Got to say it extra slowly so YouTube doesn't think I'm saying a bad word. Our friends at ShipStation. All right. Next on the rundown, let's talk about that stimulus update. You know, many people wondering, are we going to see these $3,600 checks? Are we going to see $6,600 checks or even over $10,000 stimulus payments, right? Those are already going out to people. Will those now be cut in half? Instead of $3,600 for a child tax credit, will that be cut in half or eliminated after a year or year and a half? Look, we had hoped that these things were going to be extended in perpetuity, right? We kept hearing about how transformative the child tax credit would be to families. In addition, just to the child tax credit stimulus, we were also talking about those that didn't have children, right? Not only like the earned income tax credit, but additional credits. So stimulus checks that would go out to people that don't have children. All of that being talked about as part of this $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Well, guess what? We're getting reports this morning that lawmakers in Congress are getting ready to go along with Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and are preparing to consider huge cuts to the emergency $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. I'm talking right now, folks, slashing it in half. $1 to $2 trillion if we're lucky. Maybe $1.5 trillion. Maybe $1.75 trillion. Remember, this bill is designed to fight the climate apocalypse and provide a safety net to struggling Americans. It's not surprising, but what is surprising is how callous legislators are right now and exactly what they're doing at the same time. The same lawmakers that want to slash the stimulus budget are nonchalantly advancing a defense spending plan that would put America on track to spend more than twice as much on the Pentagon in the same period of time. I want you to hear me again. So instead of passing a $3.5 trillion stimulus package, okay, that would fight climate change, help the elderly, help young children, help families, right? Help our infrastructure in the United States compete on the global stage, and we are woefully behind with a terrible food system that's making people sick.
And then a healthcare system that doesn't help them when they are.
Right. And then a healthcare system that charges them 10 times as much as other parts of the world, and prescription drugs that cost 10 times as much. All of that. No vision care, dental care, hearing care. The United States is garbage at this point. So what instead are we going to spend money on? Well, it looks like, folks, that we are about to double the amount of money we're spending on defense. The purse is now open in the post 9/11 flood of military contracts. So, interestingly, the costs and consequences of the United States 21st century wars have been now well documented, according to the Jacobin. A staggering $8 trillion in expenditures and more than 380,000 civilian deaths, as calculated by Brown University's Cost of War project. Okay.
Well, and that's going to be very conservative based on, what they consider civilians.
Oh, yeah, true. Exactly. Corporations large and small have left the financial feast of that post 9/11 surge in military spending with genuinely staggering sums in hand. After all, Pentagon spending has totaled almost an unimaginable $14 trillion plus since the start of the Afghan war in 2001. Up to
Think
one
of
half.
what percentage of our national debt that is.
Yeah. 28 trillion, right? 28 trillion is our national debt. Think about it. Half going to war. Unbelievable.
And them saying the purse is now open, was it ever shut for the military?
No, but it's interesting that AOC I'll get to her in a second here. There was an attempt to try to get this reduced. I mean, this is exactly what was tried to happen here. House Democrats this week or last week opposed, a group of House Democrats said they wanted the defense budget slashed by 10%. But guess what? That didn't happen. I'll tell you more about that in a second. The dichotomy, though, spotlights just how even after the war in Afghanistan concluded, the military-industrial complex is now poised for massive growth in the years to come. Indeed, that's precisely the conclusion of that July report by the world's largest corporate consultancies, as well as a recent military contractor earnings calls that took place after the Afghan war ended. Their predictions are double growth. And the U.S. Congress appears to be ready to line their pockets. The end of the United States' longest-running war might appear to be a setback for defense industry spending and investors and military contractors and business interests, but it's not. In fact, it's a major area of growth over the next few years. Well, and try to wrap your head around that, right? Because you're thinking, oh, we're done in Afghanistan. Clearly, well, how are we going to spend money additionally now? How are we going to do this? Because we're not in Afghanistan, so like, where is all this money going to go?
Well, and can we, the American people, is it possible for us to, reach out to them and say, hey, could we just get a line item breakdown receipt of where all this money goes? Like just out of curiosity. I mean, I think it's our money. Yeah. So I feel like if it's our money, we're going to increase your budget again. I think we should at least know, like, who is this money going toward? Because that's an awful lot of money. And there's no way that it's going towards bombs, because bombs aren't that expensive. What's it going toward?
No, why don't you try that? Why don't you try to reach out to them and see if they'll give you a line item breakdown about where this money is going?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get on the phone right now. Who do I call? Like who would be the best?
Yeah, call the switchboard at the Pentagon. See where you get to. See if you get an answer on that.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to get very far.
I'll report back.
I'll check back with you in a few weeks.
Okay.
While you're on hold. So whether or not the country is actively engaged in formal armed conflicts or not, it doesn't matter, because of the rising global instability, they say, right? And now we've got fallout from COVID-19 pandemics, instability in other regions around the world, not even just in the United States, right? We're worried about like Africa. Africa now, because of COVID, is unstable, right? And we're worried that that's a vacuum for terrorists, right? The ambitions of the U.S. Space Force. So that new joke, right? Trump's Space Force. So now we need to spend trillions in additional money towards a space force, and also brand new powerful military technologies. And those who profit from global warfare are expecting really profitable years to come.
You know what's crazy? It's like you hear all this talk of like people, talking about aliens coming here and how, they've obviously been here and they'd be peaceful and all this other stuff. But think about if we got a space force and we could go on other planets, we would go to kill them. Like we would go to take their planet so that we could populate it with ourselves. We would be the ones that you would not want to have go to your planet. Isn't that crazy?
Right. Like the rest of the universe is really peaceful. It's very peaceful. By the way, if you want to dive into, there are whistleblowers that used to work as part of the secret space program. Like, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole on this show. If you want more information on that, come over to my Paranormal Post channel on YouTube and you can learn more about it. But there are plenty of people who worked at the highest levels of the military as part of a secret space program. And we basically had to beg to get a seat at the table. And we are the most crude savage of anybody who is a part of that. And you're absolutely right. Like, we're going to we're going to go in other parts of the universe or other parts of the solar system and land on different planets or whatever. We would be the ones that would try to colonize and take it over. Like, that's what
they got oil. They got oil. Oh my gosh.
They got minerals. We need those things. So David Sirota, who's a great journalist, says, this is a battle about corporate interests. It's all it is. The whole money that's being battled for right now in this reconciliation package and stimulus, it's all about corporate money.
To me, the reconciliation bill debate is really, it's not a battle between progressives and centrists, quote unquote. It's a battle between basic climate science, the basic policies we know we need to do to deal with things like the healthcare crisis and inequality. That's on one side, versus blatant corruption, right? I mean, like, let's just be honest about what's happening here. I mean, this is a battle between essentially what people need and what money wants. But if you pay attention to the corporate media's coverage of this battle, you think it's a battle between ideological factions, or a palace drama, or one or two politicians over here who just have an honest disagreement. That, in other words, money is written out of the story. That there's a giant mountain of corporate campaign cash that lots of Washington reporters are literally standing in the shadow of and pretending doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's the key, right? And the mainstream media doesn't cover that at all. Like CNN, Fox, they don't cover that. They don't cover those stories. Are you going to ever see that on CNN? You're going to see
they can't lose that ad money.
Yeah, well, that's right. Are you going to see Brian Stelter covering that angle?
You're cracking me up.
Sorry, Brian, but I mean, let's be honest. You're not going to cover that angle, right? You're going to continue to have these politicians on your air and pretend it's an ideological battle between moderates and progressives. That's garbage. It's not true. We know it's the case that these profit predictions are all driven by a Congress that's so far continuing to approve even higher and higher Pentagon budgets and rejecting measures to reduce defense spending. I mean, the House of Representatives last Thursday voted overwhelmingly to reject 2 amendments that would have reduced the military budget for 2022. One would be cut by 10%. Another would have lopped off just 3%. The amendment to cut the budget by 10%, which was offered by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was rejected by a vote of 86 to 332. It would have applied a 10% reduction to all the accounts and funds authorized by the National Defense Authorization Act. But get this, what it wouldn't have slashed, AOC would not have slashed the Defense Health Program, would not have slashed money for military personnel, they don't get paid enough as it is, and it wouldn't have slashed the civilian employee pay. But what would it have slashed? It would have slashed additional money for bombs. That's what it would have done. But guess what? It got voted down overwhelmingly. So what's going on here? I thought we were done with the war in Afghanistan. So clearly we shouldn't be spending so much money, right? Wrong. As we predicted here on the show, the end of the war in Afghanistan is just smoke and mirrors. And as the Daily Poster reports, quote, while the end of the United States' longest-running war might appear to be a setback for defense industry investors, military contractors and the business interests that track them expect to see major growth in the sector over the next few years, whether or not the country is actively engaged in formal armed conflicts, because of rising global instability, fallout from COVID-19 pandemic, and the ambitions of the U.S. Space Force and a powerful new military technology. It'll be profitable for years to follow.
You know, and the thing is, like, you at what point do you not realize that this is 100% about corporations, right? Like, for instance, Venezuela. Let's talk about Venezuela. When they were talking about nationalizing oil, right? And giving the money back to the people. And what did we do? We freaked out because we can't have any country that has nationalized oil because we get that oil. So we had to go in and cause all this trouble. And that's the thing. Like, we think that, like, sanctions and stuff, when we put sanctions on Afghanistan, we put sanctions on Iran, we put sanctions on Russia, sanctions on Venezuela. Those sanctions kill people. It makes it so they can't get insulin. It makes them so they can't get medicine and foods that they need. And so all of these things are acts of war. And it's like we sit there and we try to say that we're this global force for good. But, like, you see when these things happen, when these people try to do something that is counter to us getting their resources, the things that we do and the things that we say to change that into, no, we got to do something, like, this is important, we need this or we need that. And they just can continually throw money at them to do these things. So these corporations, you know, will get these contracts to go in and build bridges and build roads over there, but not here. Like, we can't do it here, but we're doing it all around the world. And you're watching, I mean, you're watching with this Kyrsten Sinema, a perfect example of what you're just talking about, right? You're watching all of this corporate money flowing to this senator to make sure that they, A, don't pay higher taxes, B, continue to make bank money on defense contracts and all kinds of government grants and free flowing money. And she is getting $10,000, $5,000 checks written to them at all of these fundraisers to make sure that they are protected. I mean, and this is how it happens. Big money flows right to these guys, and these guys and girls craft policy that helps them, that helps these big businesses. It does not help the American people. And then you also have the people on the boards of these like Raytheon and things like these defense contractors ending up on the boards of government agencies. Mm-hmm. And then in the news, on news channels, as experts that are just feeding us their propaganda on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, like Dick Cheney served, was on Halliburton. Was a CEO of Halliburton. Like, who benefits from the Iraqi war? The war in Iraq? Halliburton. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the Daily Poster goes on with this. As corporate Democratic lawmakers threaten to kill the party's climate and healthcare spending bill, the party is moving forward with a defense budget that puts the country on track to spend $8 trillion on national defense over the next decade, an amount that is twice as large as the price of the Democrats' safety net legislation, the stimulus, and equal to the amount the country spent on post-9/11 wars. If that spending is not curtailed, it could mean an enormous jackpot for Wall Street and corporate arms dealers.
But they're not. Who's asking how we're going to pay for that? Like, where's that conversation?
No, they're not asking that question at all. And Republicans and Democrats will be all over this like stink on a monkey. They will approve it. They already are. Last week, they did this. Last week. Did you hear much about it in the mainstream media?
I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah. Did you hear how AOC put forward an amendment that would slash it by 10% and it got totally shot down? Did you see that happened? No, you didn't. Wasn't covered really anywhere. Certainly wasn't covered in the mainstream media. And all of the coverage really was around the debt ceiling and the infrastructure stimulus. So there are your corrupt politicians lining the pockets of these defense contractors routinely, and it's about to double. While your stimulus package to help America, which is crumbling, this is an empire. Folks, make no mistake about it. You are watching an empire crumbling before your eyes. Crumbling right now before your eyes. It's going to be one of those, we talk about the great American experiment, right? Think about it. The United States might not even make it to, you think about the hundreds of years old that countries like, in Europe are, hundreds and thousands of years old that have a history of colonization and wars, and finally said, you know what, we've grown up. The United States might not even make it to 400 years old, 350 years old.
People always like draw a parallel to us and the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire lasted longer than we're going to.
Yeah, thousands. I mean, think how long the Roman Empire lasted.
Yeah, but
right?
The thing is, like, that's the thing. Like, they didn't collapse militarily. They collapsed economically because they were spending money completely out of control. Like, they were spending way more money than they had. They were in debt and had all this huge debt. And they had their military spread out all over the whole world. And they were trying to take as much land as they could and taking over civilizations as much as they could. And they collapsed economically. And then the military just fell.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Did you see, while I'm wrapping this up, by the way, I don't know if you saw, but did you see there was these, Joe Manchin was on a yacht and all these kayakers went by. And
somebody was just saying something about it in chat.
And they were yelling, don't sink West Virginia. Don't sink West Virginia. They're all out there. Out of his houseboat. He's got his houseboat down there in Washington, D.C. So that's where Joe Manchin's houseboat. I mean, he has a houseboat, right? Don't sink West Virginia, Joe. But here's your houseboat. You can park it and take it wherever you want. Well,
what a lost opportunity. He should have called that Water Mansion.
Water Mansion. Oh, man. Anyway, we got more news to get to here on the show. We're going to talk about how the rich hide their money. We're also going to look at this unbelievably fascinating story. I'm just so taken by this story. I hope you find it as fascinating as me about Aussie media. And to me, it's the ultimate form of hubris. And these billionaire, media types that think that they can just invent an audience. And you who are watching us, we've got, like 4,000 people watching us right now on this show because we're telling you the truth. We're covering stories that make you uncomfortable. That's how the only way you grow, right? We are not corporate media. We are not paid by any billionaires. And they think that they can just throw money and create a channel and you're going to come and watch it. And they're going to spin lies. To me, the whole story is just utterly fascinating. So we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm excited about it. I want to get your take on this too, David, because I know you've been following the story. So, all right. Speaking of getting it up for a story, let's talk about Blue Chew, shall we? This is a company that's been supportive of us for a long time. They've got a great sense of humor, and they're a great company. Fall is here, and we could all use a stiff breeze, if you know what I mean. That's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, confidence can take you far in life. It can also help you in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. David's loading up on some Blue Chew as he heads to the mountains. I don't know who's coming in tow. I don't know. But anyway, Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night. So you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. You know, like you wake up in the morning, just pop in your Blue Chew, and then, hey, maybe later in the afternoon, you know? Who knows, right? Process is simple. You just sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. So, here's what you do. You're also going to get, if you could benefit from a little extra confidence, it's time to perform. Blue Chew can help you, and we've got a special deal for our listeners. You can try it for free. Try it for free right now when you use our promo code INVEST. That's right. INVEST to checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's right. $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Use the promo code INVEST to receive your first month free. They've got some really funny videos on their website, by the way. You got to go check them out. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast and the show. They're a fun company, and they've got a great sense of humor. Our thanks to Blue Chew for supporting the show. Brian says, don't over-chew. That's right. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Katie Will Go says, yeah, you could walk around with a, you know what, all day. I don't know if that's how it works. I don't think you just walk up with like, you know, like full mast all day. Like I think, you know, it springs to attention when you need it, Katie. But hey, you could think that if you want, you know. Katie says, David, let us know how it works. You bet. Well, he's going to be reporting back on this.
Yeah, I'll make a video.
He's going to, when he's out there pinching a tent in the woods, we're going to.
I'm pitching a tent in the tent.
Interesting. Crystal says, interesting how he points out that David gets it, but not him. Well, I got to use him as a foil, right?
Yeah. I mean, I am the older guy. I'm 50.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. Anyway. All right. Let's get back to the news, shall we? Okay. Hey, where's Bit? Let's see what the market's doing right now. Yeah. But, you know, it's interesting to watch the market right now because Fed is ready to pull back their money right now. From before we get to our other story, the Fed is basically saying the party is over. And so like Wall Street's money right now in jeopardy as the Fed threatens to cut off all of this additional money. It's amazing, right? That they're still funneling $120 billion a month to Wall Street, and Wall Street's having like record profits. And you guys can't get a stimulus package. The American people can't get a $2,000 check. But hey, Wall Street is still getting this money, and Wall Street's a little bit nervous right now. They're a little nervous that the Fed is going to be cutting off some money. All these rich people are nervous.
What?
So nervous. I'm sorry to hear all about that. Bombshell story this last week in the Washington Post about the world's wealthiest people were the victim of a data leak that showed all the tricks they used to move their money around. The documents are being called the Pandora Papers, and they expose the transactions of presidents, politicians, celebrities, kings. And it's interesting to see. So the Pandora Papers, if you've been following this, really fascinating how this leak unfolded. And you can just look at the front page of the Washington Post. Billions hidden beyond reach. Front page. As his country struggles, King Abdullah of Jordan secretly splurges abroad. That's how they all do it, don't they? That's how they all do it. So how did this happen? Well, there are companies in, say, the British Virgin Islands that set up offshore trusts and accounts for wealthy people to use to purchase assets. So these trusts in the Virgin Islands and other places, Grand Caymans and so forth, will then purchase assets inside of these trusts. Well, they're offshore, so they're out of the purview of those governments. Some people inside these companies leaked apparently. 11 million documents. Whoops. Sort of like, I mean, in many ways, it's sort of like Edward Snowden style, right? I mean, someone who's working at these offshore wealthy Virgin Islands trusts leaked 11 million documents to journalists. And then the journalists spent a year verifying them. A year. Imagine if you were one of the rich people that knew about this, like this leak a year ago. I'm sure, probably, you would think, if this leak was known, that the owners of these British Virgin Islands trusts and so forth probably reached out to the owners of these different trusts and said, "We got a problem. There was a data leak. Time to change your password." For instance, a woman thought to have a romantic relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin became the owner of a luxury apartment just suddenly after giving birth. Wow. The apartment was purchased with an account from the British Virgin Islands. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who made, by the way, tons of money off the war in Iraq, warmonger Tony Blair, purchased an office space in a posh London neighborhood with similar accounts from the British Virgin Islands. The Prime Minister of the Czech Republic purchased property in France, similarly. And he is facing re-election this week, by the way. None of this activity is illegal. In fact, some, you might argue, is just taking advantage of loopholes to save on taxes. It's taught in business school, after all. Right? So all of these
we can all do
people,
it?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It might be embarrassing to those that got exposed in this for, and all their political posturing. Like, I'm taking care of the people and my people are suffering. Meanwhile, the people don't know that you're secretly buying up land in France or posh hotels and expensive apartments all over the world, right? It also makes you wonder why someone who would work for an offshore servicing firm and then leak documents to journalists. Like, if you're working for one of these companies, like, why would you then leak the documents? Like, you're working for kind of crappy companies, aren't you? Like, it's the same. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Facebook leakers this past week and the whistleblowers at Facebook, right? Who it was revealed they were working on this internal study that showed that Facebook is a really crappy company, right? It's really bad for children. It's an overall terrible company. And then it was leaked. Why did and the people now, like, Facebook is kind of saying no, well, they the work, it was kind of like they left out really important information and wasn't totally accurate. And the people that actually did the research at Facebook were like, no, this was fully done research. Like, what are you talking about? And now they're upset. They knew they worked at a crappy company. They were getting paid by a crappy company, and they did the research to show that Facebook is bad. And they stayed on so they could continue to make money on the payroll. And it wasn't until it was leaked that now they're suddenly having a conscience. I just don't get that. Doesn't really make much sense to me. So they're working for these offshore firms and leaking documents to journalists. It's kind of bizarre. But, you realize, like, this story is deep. And apparently we're going to see hundreds more people as part of these leaks revealed this week. It's kind of unbelievable. The files provide substantial new evidence, for example, that South Dakota now rivals notoriously opaque jurisdictions in Europe and the Caribbean for financial secrecy. Tens of millions of dollars from outside the United States are now sheltered by trust companies in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And some of it is tied to people and companies accused of human rights abuses and other wrongdoing. Isn't that the kind of stuff that normally the CIA or the FBI would seize? Like, they're going to seize the funds of these individuals who are wanted for human rights violations or human rights abuses?
Well, and could you imagine if we tried to do stuff like that? If an individual person tried to hide funds like that, like, what would happen to us? We'd be in jail.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, similar to like the Panama Papers. The files detail more than 29,000 offshore accounts, more than double the number in the Panama Papers. 330 public officials in more than 90 countries and territories are about to be revealed. As a result, they say the Pandora Papers allow for the most comprehensive accounting to date of a parallel financial universe whose corrosive effects can span generations, draining significant sums from government treasuries, worsening wealth disparities, and shielding the riches of those who cheat and steal while impeding authorities and victims in their efforts to find or recover hidden assets. Right? So some of these people are criminals, and they have lawsuits and other legal, what is the word I'm trying to say here? Like judgments against them, right? Where they owe families, they owe victims of certain crimes money. But because they've got this money hidden in offshore accounts, the money doesn't go to those victims. And these billionaires and Jeffrey Epstein types continue to live the life that they want, funneling, keeping this money hidden away from prying eyes.
Well, and it's supposed to trickle down, right? Not out. It's like trickling out of the economy.
Yeah, exactly. And so and that's what one of the biggest issues is like that these countries where these people are doing the business aren't making the tax revenue. So they're lying. They're basically lying to the governments where they live. They're basically saying, no, we didn't make any money here in this jurisdiction. Well, they were, and that money was being routed through the Virgin Islands inside other accounts. So technically not illegal because it's being routed. But how do you think that those governments are going to see it? Are they going to say that it's not legal or that it's perfectly legal? Doubtful.
Think about this. Think about how much less money the government would have to print on a daily basis if the money that the wealthy had circulated through paying their employees a good wage, like Dan Price, paying their people a really good wage. That money would fluctuate through this economy, and there would be no need to print money to prop everything up, because all they're doing is printing money to just keep pushing it to those people that are hiding it. They take it, they squirrel it away. We don't see any of it. So it's like you've got this big stack of money, and we're all sitting there watch them take it and hand it to each other at 0% interest, paying no taxes or whatever. And then the little tiny bits of it that we get, we have to pay outrageous taxes on it. We have to, like pay for our own medical care and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they could fix this if they would just take the money, instead of putting it offshores and hiding it, squirreling it away, put it into the freaking economy. That's what it's for.
Right. Well, that's, and that's, of course, what Elizabeth Warren has been arguing in the United States, like going after tax cheats, going after people who hide money offshore, like giving the IRS additional funds and money to be able to go after these people. Of course, I don't know, typically the IRS ends up auditing people who make no money, over like $5 problems and things like that. It ends up adversely affecting the lower and middle income class of the United States than it does the wealthy in the first place. So
yeah, because they never remove their loopholes. Their loopholes would stay. They'll be like, okay, we're going to go after them, but then it ends up ultimately affecting the lower middle class, and the wealthy still get away with it.
Yeah. Let me know your thoughts on this in the chat below. The Pandora Papers. If you've read the articles, if you've read the I would encourage you. We'll link it up in the show description below. Go check out the Washington Post piece. It's explosive, and we'll be watching more as more of these people are revealed. How many people in the United States are also to blame for this? We'll keep our eye on that story. I got one more big story I want to get to today, and this is the Aussie media story that I'm just fascinated by. But first, I want to tell you about how you can get some free stock right now, some free money just for signing up with Public. You can get started with as little as $1, and you'll even get a free slice of stock valued up to $50 when you join public.com. Just go to public.com/morning to download the app and sign up today. What's amazing about Public is investing can be confusing, and it can be a little overwhelming when you get started. You're not really sure where to start. So Public makes it very easy. I would encourage you, don't even really start trading. Just download the app, get your free stock, and watch, because it's like a social network. You'll see what other expert traders are trading, and it posts right in the timeline. And you can learn from traders like myself and others, what are they buying? Like, are you investing in Apple? Are they buying Beyond Meat or Tesla? I have a part of my long-term portfolio on Public. So you can see, if you follow me on Public, it's like a social network. You can follow me. And if I make a purchase, if I say I'm going to invest in Tesla, it'll pop up. You see that, hey, Clayton just invested in Tesla. And I usually write up a little description as to why. right? So Tesla, for instance, it just exceeded expectations for delivery of electric cars in this quarter, like by a lot. So, wow, Tesla stock going up, right? And that's an example of why you might want to invest in Tesla as an example. I'm just using that as an example personally. I'm not saying you have to do that. That's not financial advice. I'm just using it as an example. Or Apple or some other stock, right? Anyway, come on over to Public and get a free slice of stock, and you can start investing for as little as $1, and you can learn about investing from other notable friends and investors and see what's happening and what they're investing in. Teresa says, I'm down today on Public. Yeah, the market got a little crazy over the past few days, but that's why you look at your long-term portfolio and you don't watch it day to day. So there you go. And valid for U.S. residents 18 and older, subject to account approval. See public.com/disclosures, not investment advice. Go to public.com/morning to download the app and sign up today to get that $50. You have to use that link in order to get the slice of stock valued up to $50. Our thanks to them. Next on the show.
I was gonna say really quick before we moved on from that story, wouldn't it be cool if you could call it capped capitalism or something like that, where you cap the most the person could have would be $1 billion. And then if that person reached $1 billion, we celebrated them as a society. It's like, okay, that person really did well. But now anything else that's over that goes to employees and stuff like that. I wish that you could go that way instead of putting all of this on the backs of the middle class, like the minimum wage. We're only going to give you 15. Well, okay, so now we're capped at 15. I'm not going to pay you anymore. That's the one that shouldn't be capped. That's the one that should be, open and cap the big guys, cap the billion.
Yeah, we talked about that where it's not a minimum tax, but a maximum wage, right?
Yeah.
Instead of a minimum wage, a maximum wage.
Because if you look at any of these billionaires, all they do is sit on it. They invest and sit on it and just make more and more and more and more. And at some point, when it's not going in the economy, it is helping nobody. I mean, the only person it helps is them.
Yeah, and we should also make the hard thing is when we say a maximum wage, the problem is that most of these wealthy guys really don't have a wage at all.
Well, I would say maximum profit.
Maximum profit.
Yeah, you would have to put a percentage of profit. You can profit this percent. That's it. And anything over this percent gets trickled back down into your company.
Yeah, and you look at you look at countries like Norway. I had a conversation today with some investor friends, and we were talking about Sweden and looking at holding a crypto event in Sweden that I might be heading to, and they're countries that are saying, hey, you can absolutely be wealthy, you can do really well in business, but not to the detriment of those around you. And that's why this capitalist system that the United States sits on right now is a failure. Is absolutely a failure. And I think we really saw that at the beginning of the pandemic, didn't we? Where you saw all of these other countries. I had friends who were big capitalists, I mean, these guys are like Trump capitalists, and we would always disagree on the politics. But I remember getting text messages from one of them, and he said, you know what? He's like, capitalism works until you end up having a pandemic. And you get to really see all of the warts and the cracks and the fissures between the classes. And you get to see how it just all falls apart. All it took was a pandemic for the United States to literally be brought to its knees.
Well,
when other countries took care of their people and didn't collapse.
Exactly. And I would be, if I were the CEO of a company and I was sitting there in a yacht, or I was making, let's say I was making $10 million a year, and I knew that my bottom level employees had to have 3 jobs just to survive, I couldn't live with myself. And I don't know how any of these people that do that can live with themselves.
Yeah, how could you come to work as a CEO, pulling up and you get to park in your parking spot, CEO parking spot, when you know that the other people here literally can't make ends meet?
They're bringing a bus to work because they can't even afford a car.
Yeah. Oh, brother. It's the United States.
I couldn't even look those people in the eye, could you?
No, not at all. No. I mean, I couldn't function that way. I don't know. And there's plenty of CEOs that do.
Yeah, and I think that's what some of them do. They completely separate themselves from humanity because you'd have to. You have your rich friends that you could get along with, but other than that, you would have to pretty much just hide and not even look at that and pretend it didn't exist.
Grim says, I just left a job because of that exact reason in our chat. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Dean Thomas says, no empathy and totally self-absorbed. Katie Wilgo says, no conscience, no heart. Yeah. They don't have a soul, Arlene says. Exactly. Jonathan Stewart says, rich people are short-sighted and wear blinders made of dollar bills. Yeah. That's amazing. Anyway, I want to talk about another example of total hubris when it comes to billionaires throwing their money around and thinking that we will all just fall in line and watch their garbage network. I'm talking about Aussie Media. If you don't know what this story is about, pay attention. This is absolutely fascinating. So I didn't know much of anything about Aussie Media. Were you aware of Aussie Media at all up until like a few weeks ago?
Nope. Never had heard it.
I never heard about it. I never watched one of their videos. None of their videos were ever suggested to me, by the way. Like, typically content in this vein might be suggested to me. I never saw it, never heard about it, no videos, nothing. Aussie Media. Who the heck even knew about this thing? Here is their flashy website, by the way, Aussie Media. And they've got YouTube shows and media. They have magazines and the Carlos Watson show is supposed to be their most watched show on YouTube, right? It's their crown jewel, Carlos Watson, who was also the CEO of the company. Well, it all started, this Aussie Media story started with a column from Ben Smith at the New York Times. I'm not a fan of New York Times at all, but occasionally, once in a while, people like Ben Smith actually do some good reporting. So he blew the lid off of this company called Aussie. Smith revealed that in February of here's his column. Smith revealed that in February of 2021, Aussie Media was in the final stages to raise $40 million from Goldman Sachs. During the fundraising call, though, they had this really bizarre incident. Did you hear about this incident? The phone?
Mm-mm.
So, it was so bizarre. So they're on the phone and during a conference call raising this money, okay? And oddly, as they report, I can't pull this up now. They had a strange interaction with someone on the phone who pretended to be an executive at YouTube. Okay, wow, this is great. We're on this fundraising phone call for $40 million, right? And an executive from YouTube is on the call, kind of like confirming that Aussie Media is like a legit thing. Wow, this is great, right? We're going to funnel a lot of money. Goldman Sachs, we're going to give a lot of money to this thing. Well, it felt weird. So after the call, Aussie Media, they contacted the person that they had just met with on the phone. And they called the guy from YouTube and they discovered that he had no idea what they were talking about. So the voice on the other end of the phone was not a YouTube executive at all. It was actually the COO of Aussie Media on the phone pretending to be an executive from YouTube. So this is unbelievable. So then Ben Smith reveals that Aussie was founded by the CEO named Samir Rao and the CEO Carlos Watson, formerly of Goldman Sachs. And it's all fake. The whole thing is fake. They sold the idea of this millennial media company back in 2013. They raised initial millions of dollars at the time from Lorraine Powell Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs, Silicon Valley capitalists like Ron Conway, even David Drummond, and the chief legal officer of Google, right? So these are huge heavy hitters in the media space. And I remember hearing about this thing getting off the ground from some media people that I knew at the time. And they even raised money from Axel Springer, a huge media conglomerate in Germany that just bought Politico, by the way, for $1 billion. They raised $35 million from Mark Lazarus. He's a hedge fund manager. And the co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. They raised money from the Ford Foundation because they wanted to support a black-owned media company, right? And in April of 2020, it had 1 year ago, it had a valuation of $159 million. And that was because it was based on $89 million that they raised. Think about that for a minute. Their valuation was based on all of this money that they raised. Well, turns out the whole thing was a joke. The whole thing was fake. So they started putting out these YouTube videos, these Carlos Watson YouTube videos, and oddly, no one was watching them at all. Like, they have a magazine. They were even putting on like a big Aussie media festival. What did you know about this company?
Me, absolutely nothing until I started hearing about it in the news. Nothing. I'd never heard of them.
Yeah, nothing at all. I never heard a peep about this company.
Never saw any of those videos that you're talking about. Nothing. And I'm on YouTube a lot.
Yeah. So after the story runs, 5 days later, the company is out of business. Here's Ben Smith talking to our old friend Brian Stelter over at CNN, as he's, by the way, a reliable source, interviewing him about media, media fraudsters and so forth. But it's funny. But listen to Ben Smith, regardless of the source. And he was surprised just how quickly this whole thing collapsed.
Real problem building a kind of non-billionaire audience.
Right, so then they have to start paying for promotion, paying for people to watch their videos. They create this facade, and then it all tumbles down within 5 days of your column. Did you expect the company to shut down 5 days after your column?
I was shocked by how fast it happened. I mean, I think part of it is things just happen faster now. But I think part of it was that advertisers and their investors felt misled, and it's pretty hard to come back from that.
No recovery at all. What does this tell us about digital media writ large, and will there be more Aussies?
I think that's a thing people like to say, and I don't really think it says that much about digital media writ large. This wasn't a little exaggeration of something that, everybody else was doing. This was a company that really didn't have an audience and was boasting of a massive audience and valuing itself at hundreds of millions of dollars. I think these things pop up in all sorts of industries. I think it does expose how little attention so-called sophisticated investors often pay when they're really going with their kind of gut feel about a founder, with their instincts, and with who else has already joined the club. And Laureen Powell-Jobs is an old friend of Carlos's and was the first person in the door. And I think a lot of other investors thought, you know what, cool, she's in, I'm in, and didn't look much deeper. Real problem building that.
Unbelievable.
So, I got some breaking news for you though, Clayton.
Yeah.
So check this out. Just a few minutes ago, Aussie Media CEO says decision to close has been reversed.
Ooh.
The CEO of Aussie Media says a recent decision to shutter the company has been reversed. We're going to open for business, so we're making news today, Aussie CEO Carlos Watson said while appearing Monday on the Today Show. This is our Lazarus moment, if you will. This is our Tylenol moment. Last week was traumatic. It was difficult, heartbreaking in many ways. Aussie's board of directors said in a statement obtained by New York Times on Friday, it was the heaviest of hearts that it was announcing their closing. At Aussie, we've been blessed with a remarkable team of dedicated staff, and the board reportedly said to employees in a statement, many of them are world-class journalists and experienced professionals to whom we owe tremendous gratitude and who are wonderful colleagues. It is therefore with the heaviest of hearts that we must announce today that we're closing Aussie's doors. And then it says the reporting closing came just days after an earlier story in the Times. So no, it's sad, it's difficult. He told Today it was wrong. Obviously, they figured it out very quickly. So says pretty much there. Oh, wow. This is the part that I thought was funny. Watson, during the Today interview, denied having any knowledge of a plan to deceive investors, which in a separate statement to the Times, he chalked up to the executive going through a mental health crisis.
So the person that called and faked being the YouTube executive. Okay, let me just put that into perspective for a second. Okay. You're on a conference call in order to raise $40 million from Goldman Sachs, right? Oddly, on this same conference call, there's one of your team members is pretending to be a YouTube executive. Why do you think that is? In order to appear to be a bigger media company than you actually are in order to raise money, right? So if you're Goldman Sachs and you're on this call and you're like, hey, we have Carlos Watson on the phone. We've got Samir Raoul on the phone. We've got an executive from YouTube on the phone. Wow. Okay. This is legit. So that was just mental health. That was just a mental health slip up. He was depressed. He had anxiety. And so he pretended to be a YouTube executive during a conference call.
It says Watson, who founded the digital media company based in California that distributes newsletters, video segments, and podcasts across various digital platforms, said he was not on the conference call with YouTube and said part of the fundraising process, you end up talking to a lot of people, and I'm not on every call.
Okay.
So he's just throwing his guy under the bus.
Yeah, so he's not there. But hey, we are, as he says, we are open for business, he says. Now, according to just a few moments ago on NBC, this is our Lazarus moment. Going to rise up from the ashes. Yes. This
Like
is our,
Jesus.
like we're a phoenix rising up. So, okay. Now, at the heart of all of this, if you were to go to, now Ozzy doesn't even, we'll see if their YouTube channel is back up, because this morning I went to check their YouTube channel. It was gone. I couldn't find it. Ozzy Media. So if you go to Ozzy Media's YouTube channel and you went to, like right now, I can't even find their YouTube channel. Like, oh, here it's back. Is this it? I don't even think this is it. This is like a different one. No, that's not even the same Ozzy Media. Oh, that's Oxy Media. I can't even find it. I think it's still down. Like, it's not even there. So Ozzy Media is not there, but that's Carlos Watson. So anyway, when I looked at the Ozzy Media videos and you look at Carlos Watson's show, one of the reasons why all of this is considered, fraudulent is because they were, it seemed like they were lying to, I mean, you can put two and two together and make your own determination about it, but it seemed like they were lying to their advertisers and to their investors that their videos were actually getting tons of views. Clearly, they had these Carlos Watson videos, and they had like hundreds of thousands of views and like 5 comments. I don't know if you notice, like on this channel, we get hundreds of comments, and and we don't get hundreds of thousands of views every time on a video by any chance, but it clearly shows that they're paying for views, does it not?
Yeah, so I'm looking at one of their videos right now. Their channel is up. They've got 3.87 thousand subs, right? This video that has 409,000 views. Let me go to my screen here.
I typed
really
Oxy
quick.
Media. That's why I couldn't find it.
Oh, yeah. You're looking for drugs.
Yeah.
So Ozzy Media right here, 3.87 thousand subs, which is really small. I've got that on my channel. They've got 409,315 views on this with 13 comments. Oh, wow. Ron's calling it out here. 409,000 views and only 11 comments. Seems to me like somebody might be trying to game the system.
Exactly. So if you've got that many views, clearly they were paying for views, right? So their advertisers are like, wow, they got a lot of views on this channel, right? We got a lot of views on this channel, and there's like 5 comments and like 4 likes. No one's no human being is actually watching these videos. And this is the hubris, right? These $1 billion, these big media tycoons, or not even media tycoons, all of these all of these millionaires getting together. And even in the face of the fraud, they were still investors that were in the face of the fraud, still defending these people, showing like they're not actually making any money. This is all garbage. No one's actually watching this content. And I think it just speaks to, like, that's why I love doing this show, because we don't have any money backing at all. I don't have millions of dollars funding this channel. We cover stories that actually matter to you, right? We cover stories that matter to you and your family. We call out dishonesty and fraud in the marketplace. We hold these people accountable. And guess what? That's why we have such a large audience here on this channel.
You know what's crazy, though?
They got millions of dollars and built a media channel, a media network that no one watched. No one watched, and they tried to manufacture views. It just speaks to this hubris. It just blows me away.
Well, and what's crazy is the companies, the news channels that do have the billions and millions of dollars behind them with ad revenue have the platform that we're on, those billions also behind them, because where we do have no money for creating the content and everything, we do have a $1 billion company against us saying what we can and can't say.
Right.
And they're not telling them what they can and can't say on those channels that do have that kind of backing.
Right. So they could funnel all of this money to YouTube. They can get all of these executives together and glad hand each other. They can go to lunch with, from people from Google and so forth. And then when they cover stories, that would otherwise cause us harm. They're able to get away with it. That's how these here is Carlos Watson just a few moments ago on the Today Show. I wish I had audio here, but I don't. But here he is, just a few moments ago on NBC, basically saying, "We're back, baby. We're sticking around." What's amazing too is that he was even a guest on like Stephen Colbert's show. Like Colbert had him on and called him like a media mogul. I remember seeing a video in the feed of him being on Colbert. I'm like, why is this guy who's like a manufactured star on Colbert? Like, because they probably pay them off, you know, they just like get on the phone like, hey, you got to have Carlos Watson on your show, Stephen. You know, he's created this really amazing network where he's getting just tons of views. All these millennials are flocking to his channel, and it's all fake. It's all fake.
Well,
it's
and
total garbage.
I mean, when all these people are going out and promoting their books and everything on these shows, Colbert and all that, they're paying for those spots. They're paying to be on those shows. But here's the thing too. Think about this. That guy, the CEO, unless you had an environment where that was allowed, that CEO or CMO or whatever it was, the marketing officer, whatever, to make that statement and pretend to be YouTube, you're not going to do that. I don't care. Like mental crisis. That's because that's what the landscape had been created, you know, to be. They were corrupt from the core. So those corrupt people, they're like the worst of the used car salesmen you can think of. They're just all about trying to make money and all that stuff. So they'll do anything they got to do to do it. So that guy that pretended to be YouTube, he's just going to be a scapegoat for all this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the Carlos Watson show, right? Like all these guests, right? They probably paid to come on there. Like 2.1 million views with Fauci. These are all, and like no comments at all. Megyn Kelly, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Matthew McConaughey, 1 million views 4 months ago. Wow. 95,000 subs. I'm going to tell you right now that if you're getting 2 million views, 1 million views, and all you have is 95,000 subs, there's a huge problem. Like,
yeah.
Oh, and by the way, how are you verified? How'd you get a verified channel? You know? Oh, because you paid for it.
Yeah, because that's not supposed to happen until 100,000.
Yeah. So how do you get a verified channel without 100,000 subs?
And look here, Aussie Media, the channel right here. Let me put myself on video really quick. Here we go. 3.87 thousand subs verified.
Yeah. 3,000 subs verified. Yeah.
So you think YouTube isn't helping them along somehow?
What is Aussie Media? Wow. Yeah, what is Aussie Media? Anyway, I'm just stunned by this. So you're going to see a lot more. I mean, anyway, middle of our story, we had breaking news that Aussie Media is not defunct. I guess they are sticking around.
They're just going to get rid of the mental guy.
I wonder, is anyone actually going to watch this? How long do you give Aussie Media? I give Aussie Media 2 more months. 2 more months to save face. Right around the holidays, they're going to close this thing down. Right? They're going to try to make some of their money back somehow. Now that they've got some of the press, you're a guest on the Today Show. Like, you're going to get some extra traffic from that, right? You're going to get some extra traffic. You're going to try to make some money, recoup some money for your advertisers, and then you're going to close shop. I'm going to say 2 months. I'm betting 2 months. Who wants to bet with me in the chat? Let me know.
They're calling it their Lazarus moment. Well, just so you know, Lazarus still died.
Right. I was going to say, if you know the story of Lazarus, yeah, and like Sting writes a song called "The Lazarus Heart." I mean, exactly. I mean, what you need is like maybe a phoenix would be a better example, better word to use there than a Lazarus.
I think they were probably trying to tug at the heartstrings of the Christian conservatives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably right. Grim says, "Hey, where's my verification? I put out better content than they do." Exactly. Oh boy. So let me know in the chat. How long do you think they have? 2 months? I give them 2 months. By Christmas time, when everyone's not paying attention, the holidays, they're going to quietly shut down. They'll kind of bury it around the new year, the holiday time when no one's paying attention. Anyway, that's my prediction.
I'm going to say 6 months, just to give them, their, their time in the media cycle.
In the sun. We'll see.
Because they seem like a really great organization,
Right.
Yeah, I learned so much from that Matthew McConaughey interview that it was life changing.
Right.
I didn't comment or like it or anything.
And I just love the amount of money they've spent on this stuff. I mean, like, you know, look at these, like, I mean, I could build a better studio than this stuff, you know, like, oh, cutting edge interviews.
What, he's just replaying other people's interviews?
Yeah, these are like replaying other people's interviews.
That's all the whole channel is?
No, here it is.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Here's the Carlos Watson show. Yeah. Get a better earpiece, by the way. Even I have a better earpiece. Can't see my giant thing on my, just because my hair is a little grazed, you can see my earpiece now.
He has earpiece.
Oh, anyway, any super chats we got to get to before we wrap things up?
All right, let me go over here and look in the super chat vault really quick.
Thanks, everyone, for subscribing to our channel. We're here every day doing the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, covering the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. Or if they cover it, by the way, they'll put them on the air and pretend that they're, you know, I don't know. You know, just like the Today Show has an interview with this guy, and he goes on Stephen Colbert's show, and this is the kind of stuff that we're up against, guys.
So we got Chris's top level media. Thanks, David. Since David put on members, it won't let me, but hospitals are bad over here and in Portland. It won't let me be a member for some reason. So any of you guys that ever have issues with the membership stuff, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. There on your little avatar up in this hand up here in the corner. So if you look where I'm at up here in this corner, the right hand side, you'll see your little avatar with your head in it or your picture or whatever. Click on that and then go to subscriptions. And then there should be a place there you can contact YouTube if you're having issues and stuff. So Cookie that chick, it's telling me I'm not a member, but I've been a member since last year. Make sure you're on the right account, Cookie. I've seen people come in the wrong account. They think they're in another account.
Yeah,
Julia,
I've got like 10 different Google accounts. You know, so sometimes I'm signed into the wrong one, and I'm like, why is my channel not showing this? I'm like, oh, so I'm signed into the wrong Gmail account.
that just happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was on I can't remember whose live stream I was on, Jimmy Doors. And I was trying to super chat, and I was like, what the heck? It kept not going through, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Then I'm like, oh, I'm logged in as Morning Invest. Like, no wonder. So then I went and logged in as myself, and then it went through. So Julia Runyon, $5. Thank you.
By the way, look at this video, this Carlos Watson video. 38,000 dislikes.
Oh, wow. Is that his Fauci interview?
Yeah.
They thumbing down Fauci or thumbing down him? Probably Fauci, I would say. A lot of people are mad at him right now. Sunshine Speaks. Clayton, changed my card, but can't chat. Again, do what I said about the YouTube icon or your avatar and go through that process. Julia, did you see Joe Manchin confronted by people on canoes? Yes, we played that. Thank you for your super chat. OFB, Rumsfeld said 2.3 trillion are missing from Pentagon 9/10/01, and we left how many trillions in Afghan? All in defense.
Yeah. We left not trillions in Afghanistan, but it was about, I think the total price tag on those machines and things we left there ended up being about 26 billion. Still unbelievable.
Yeah. Lisa Pettit, I think this was SNL talking about infrastructure bill. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it or until it falls on us. Funny, but not funny. And that is all the super chats.
Well, thank you for all your kind super chats. I really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Just go to morninginvest.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. It's totally free. We hope that you are subscribed to it because it's our way to connect with you. God knows in this media environment, we need a way to directly connect with you because these channels can, in some ways, shut us down pretty darn quickly. So go to morninginvest.com, add your name to the email mailing list, and you'll receive our newsletter first thing in the morning, delivered right to your inbox around 6:30 in the morning Eastern time. And usually we have a preview in there of what's coming up on the show and everything else, so you can be informed for the day. Rumple Gold, hey, thanks for your super chat. Says, hey, David Clayton, thanks for streaming. You're my favorite afternoon set sanity. And Rumple Gold, she is Rumple Gold is a member of the cast of the new Game of Thrones show. So she is on the set on Game of Thrones watching our show, Rumple. I can't wait. When does that show come out? I can't wait for the new. And it's what is it? It's kind of like a prequel, right? It takes place a couple hundred years following the
Post. It was the.
No,
it was
a couple hundred years before, isn't it?
Yeah.
It follows like couple hundred years before Khaleesi, right? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Rumpel, if you do happen to come across the Dragon Queen by any chance on there, let her know that I'm single, please. I would appreciate that.
Big fan of what's her name? Amelia
Clark.
Yeah.
Huge fan of her. You know what I really, just in all seriousness, like what I really like about her, like if you watch her being interviewed, she's completely present in every single interview. It's not like she's one of those people that just kind of like is listening and doing it because she's actually there. Like I really like people that are, when they're doing if you're going to take an interview, you're present in that interview and you're there and you're in the moment. I think that's cool.
That's one of the reasons why I loved Conan as an interviewer, because like Jay Leno is awful, and I can't stand Jay Leno because I'm a huge
he waited to
Letterman
talk.
fan. But Conan always just sat and listened. Like he always paid attention to what you were saying, so which is very, very rare. You know, like Jay Leno, like literally would not even pay attention. He had a list of questions. That was one of the big things, and like he didn't even care what you said. He basically just wanted to move on to his next question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rumple Gold is from Game of Thrones.
The new one that isn't out yet.
The new one that's not out yet. They're filming it. So Rumple is on the set filming and watching our show. Where are they filming it? Aren't they filming it up in are they filming it in like Scotland or something? Anyway.
We still ignore that crappy Terminator movie she was in. Amelia Clark was in Terminator?
Really?
I don't remember that. I know she
there
was in
were
Solo.
I missed a couple of those like more recent Terminator movies.
Yeah, I did too. I just couldn't bring myself to watch them. Like there's nothing like, you know, if you watch the original's really good. I didn't like anything after the original. Oh wait.
Well,
I like the
Terminator
second one.
2. Yeah, Terminator
yeah.
2.
I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, any James
Superstar
Cameron
in chat.
James Cameron, any James Cameron stuff for sure.
Yeah. Titanic is still one of my all-time favorite movies, and Avatar. When
By the
Avatar
way,
came out, I saw that in the theater like 6 times on opening weekend.
I saw it a couple times too. I saw Titanic in the theater.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time is, now most people haven't actually seen it. They've only seen the cut up version that ended up being released in the theater. It's called The Abyss. And it's James Cameron movie with Ed Harris. Ed Harris, one of my favorite actors.
He's so good.
I think, is it Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio? Or I forget who played his like wife in The Abyss. I forget what her name was. So good. Anyway.
Yes, Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio, yes.
So The Abyss, if you've not seen it, you need to watch it, but you need to watch the uncut version. The cut version, the one they released in the theater, is like 3 out of 4 stars. Like it's good, but it's not great. Then I bought the Laserdisc, and my friend told me about it. He said, you need to see the uncut director's version of The Abyss. And I did, and it was amazing. And it is like a 5 out of 4 star movie. It's that good. Because in order to make a movie shorter, you usually cut out an entire subplot. And so what did they do in The Abyss? They cut out the entire subplot as to why the aliens even came in the first place, which is important. So they cut out that entire plot point of the movie. And so you lose that whole reason for them even being there. So if you watch the uncut version of The Abyss, you get all of that. So many great scenes too with Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. The choice was, and I read about this, the choice was either we cut out the whole subplot of why they are like an ex couple, or they're kind of fighting, or they're getting divorced, right? We either cut that out, or we cut out why the aliens came. And they opted to cut out why the aliens came. And this is why, by the way, James Cameron, after that happened, always insisted, like he was now going to be the producer on his movies so that he would not have any of that stuff cut out. So that's why his movies are always so stinking long, because he's like, never again am I going to have to listen to a studio tell me, that I need to cut out 45 minutes of my movie.
It's like sometimes in order to tell a complex story, I don't mind sitting through that. Like I didn't mind sitting through Dances with Wolves, and what was that recent movie that was like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? That was a really long movie, but I feel like it couldn't have been any shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, The Abyss. They had to build helmets for the actors. They had to build those face masks for the actors and actresses so you could see their faces. That's what James Cameron did. They built this entire set, they took an old water tower and built like the whole set for the movie.
Wow.
They had T-shirts that said like "I survived the making of The Abyss," like all the actors, because it was such like a incredibly difficult movie to make. See, like the IMDb rating has 7.5 out of 10, right? But what they're giving you is like the cut version. If you see the actual full version, it's a perfect movie. Like it's so good. Go see it.
Yeah, I actually liked the regular cut too, but
I did too. As a kid, I saw it as a kid with my parents in the theater, and I liked it. But the uncut version is, you got to see it. It's so good. The uncut director's version is amazing. Anyway, Rumple Gold says, yeah, we're filming everywhere, honestly, and it takes place 400 years before Game of Thrones. Awesome, Rumple. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that is cool.
All right, everyone, we got to get out of here. We got other stuff to do. And David, where can people find you?
You can find me over at youtube.com/overland geeks. If you're into overlanding or minimalism, I'm getting into that. Just kind of a lifestyle channel. If you want to follow my life and what I'm doing, camping and all that stuff, then you can head over and do that. And then I think, didn't you just release a video on Paranormal Post about Werewolf Island? Or
Yes.
You said you had other stuff going on too. What's that all about?
Well, I just filmed a few videos. I got more to film. So we're ramping up here on my Paranormal Post channel. So if you like stories of the unexplained, if you like mysteries and true stories, like I'm a big fan of UFO stories. I've definitely interviewed members of the military and members of Congress and governors about UFO related information and stories over the years, as well as just unexplained stories and paranormal stories. You can come on over and subscribe to my paranormal channel. It's youtube.com/paranormal post. Sorry, I was trying to bring up the video here of the channel. Paranormal Post. Come on over. We've got a bunch of great videos over there. I just released one on Werewolf Island. My son and I watched it. He goes, "Daddy, that's so creepy." I know. And I've got a few more videos. I just shot one specifically on the late 1800s airships mystery. The rash of like airships that were seen across the United States in the late 1800s. Imagine that, right? No one had cell phones, nothing, but there was like all these newspapers. Everyone was reporting seeing these bizarre craft in like the late 1800s. Really fascinating story. So just finished that one. That'll be up hopefully very, very quickly. Let's see. Tanda was asking something here before we go. Ryan
Dolan's question.
Oh, I don't understand why corporations pay Congress not to have tax increases instead of paying the taxes. I don't understand why corporations pay Congress not to have tax increases instead.
Meaning they don't know why would you spend the money lobbying when you could just pay the taxes?
Exactly. Because it's way less money to lobby. I mean, they can spend way less money on lobbying efforts than they can in taxes. I mean, bottom line, it's just, it's like you're spending $1 instead of $300. So it's just way less money. Thank you for that question, Ryan.
And then we did have another super chat. What happens if you die before your annuity matures?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that on annuities. I'm not an annuities expert, Teresa. I don't know. I would talk to a CPA. I think if probably would transfer to your spouse, right? I don't know. I don't know much about annuities. I don't have any, and I certainly don't invest in them, so I'm not quite sure. Anyway. Dean Thomas, I love all your stuff, but when are you doing the investment series you discussed a few months back? going to be putting it together actually at a meeting today with the team from Coin Panel. Going to be doing some good stuff over there on my personal channel. So if you want to come over and start to see about what the investing I'm going to be doing and some of the crypto investing and just straight up investing advice, come on over to my YouTube channel, just my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Clayton Morris. If you're interested in building financial freedom and wealth, that's what that channel is all about. If you're not interested in it, then don't subscribe. But if you are interested in making money and learning about that stuff, come on over and build some financial intelligence with us over there. YouTube.com/Clayton Morris. All right, everyone, we got to get out of here. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Peace, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.